Hi, I'm Josh Roberts and I'm standing in Caernarfon right now, home of the hit classic Coffee Paradise, the place that has as many charity shops as there are people, and the home of the magnificent 30-metre tall stone behemoth known as Caernarfon Castle. Before we go in for a close look, I want to give you a quick history lesson on the castle and its history. Caernarfon Castle is a medieval fortress in Caernarfon. It was a motte and bailey castle, an European fortification with a wooden or stone keep situated on a raised area of ground known as a moat. From the late 11th century until 1283, when King Edward I of England began to replace it with the current stone structure, the Illyrian town acted as the administrative centre of North Wales, and as a result the defences were built on a grand scale. The castle has a deliberate link with Caernarfon's Roman past, and the Roman fort of Saguntium is nearby. While the castle was under construction, town walls were built around Caernarfon. Work cost between £20,000 to £25,000, which in today's money would very roughly cost £20 million, which is enough to buy 285 fully kitted out Model 3 Teslas. Town and castle were heavily damaged in 1294 when Mad Dog ap Llywelyn led a rebellion against the English. Caernarfon was recaptured the following year. Although the castle appears mostly complete, the interior buildings no longer survive, and many building plans were never finished. During the Glyndŵr Rising of 1400 to 1415, which was a Welsh rebellion led by Owain Glyndŵr against the Kingdom of England during the late Middle Ages, as mentioned, it lasted 15 years and was the last Welsh war for independence. When the Tudor dynasty ascended to the English throne in 1485, tensions between the English and the Welsh began to diminish, and castles were being considered less important. As a result, Caernarfon Castle was allowed to fall into a state of disrepair, despite its dilapidated condition. During the English Civil War, Caernarfon Castle was held by royalists and was besieged 3 times by Parliament's forces. This was the last time the castle was used in war. The castle was neglected until the 19th century when the state funded repairs, and currently it's being cared for by Cadw, the Welsh Government Historic Environment Service. As well as being cared for by Cadw, the castle's current constable is Edmund Seymour Bailey, Lord Lieutenant of Gwynedd, which is probably the coolest title I've ever heard of. And lastly, I want to bring up the investiture of Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, was held in Caernarfon, acknowledging him as the Prince of Wales. The Prince is presented and invested with the insignia of his rank and dignity, the manner of a coronation. An investiture is purely ceremonial, as the title is created via letters patent. Now that we're done with the history, let's go back to the castle and have a look around. We are back at Caernarfon Castle. Unfortunately, the front's under renovation, so we can't use that way, but we can still use the back door. Just because the front's closed doesn't mean it won't stop me from showing you the majesty of the castle.
I'm sorry, I can't speak declined.
We're now inside Caernarfon Castle. I'll be honest, looking at it, I didn't think it was under this much repair. I thought it was just the front, but on the way in, the person at reception gave us this book telling us about history and a handy little guide about like going around the castle. But this is worthless now because I'm here to tell you everything you need to know and to show you around the castle. The first attraction I take a look at is the legend of King Edward I. This attraction is an upscaled model of his head that's been segmented into 5 parts, with a tablet on the inner side giving a detailed retelling of his life story, and it'll certainly give you a greater understanding of his history than I could possibly provide. Following that is the Royal Welsh Fusiliers Museum. That has 2 segments. One's for medals and the other one is for the uniform and equipment they used throughout their time. The Royal Welsh Fusiliers are a line infantry regiment of the British Army and a part of the Prince Wales Division, founded in 1689, shortly after the Glorious Revolution which started the year prior. And also, whilst doing research about the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, I learned a bit more about the model goat in the museum. The goat's name is William Windsor I, and he was a Lance Corporal of the 1st Battalion for 8 years, except for a 3-month period in 2006 where he was, quote, demoted to Fusilier after inappropriate behaviour during the Queen's official birthday celebrations. And that is probably the greatest thing I've learned from making this. Lastly, I want to talk about the view you can get from the top of the towers at the castle. You truly get a grand scope of Caernarfon from there. It's just a shame I couldn't get more or greater shots whilst I was there, but I didn't want to risk the camera falling over due to the high winds we had that day. So I definitely encourage you to go there yourself, unless you're someone who has trouble with heights, like me. During the production of this documentary, I sent out a questionnaire to ask people if they have any questions about the castle or its history. So I thought I'd take the time and do them now. Why was the castle built? Once King Edward I had conquered Wales in the late 1200s, he set up building defences across the north to fortify his control over the Welsh rebels with a collection of fortifications across the country, in which Caernarfon Castle was built in 1283, when the Prince of Wales, Llywelyn ap Gruffydd, began to stage an uprising. How long was the construction of the castle, and how many people worked on it? Unfortunately, we don't know the exact number, but we do know that hundreds of tradesmen, craftsmen worked on the castle, with timber shipped from Liverpool and Anglesey, and with labourers even coming from London. It wasn't just a huge cost to make the castle impressive, it was also completed within 5 years, which was incredibly quick at that time. What's the castle's relationship with the locals? I think the best way to figure this out is to ask them ourselves.
I host people Airbnb, and all of them without fail come and see the castle. It has a really good draw.
It's just one of the most iconic parts about Caernarfon and probably North Gwynedd and North Wales in general, I believe. Yeah.
Oh yes, indeed. I have people staying from all over the British Isles, and as I say, they go and see the castle. Yeah.
The castle's a marvellous thing.
And lastly, what are the castle's current uses? Currently the castle is just an iconic landmark of Caernarfon and maybe even North Wales as a whole. But I think it serves as a great reminder of our history, our heritage, and it's just a story of Caernarfon and just that time as a whole. And I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've learned something from watching this, because I know I've learned some things from creating this.